Hello, welcome to the STEMCivics show. I'm Angela. I am here with Jaria and Miss Emily Arnold, and disability and mental health advocate, social worker in training, and active blogger. Hi, Emily. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm Emily, or Emmy Arnold. I'm the blogger who runs Illness to Wellness, which is a Tumblr blog about living and thriving with...
Tumblr.
Yes, Tumblr is so fun. It's a great platform for people to get connected to each other. And so the particular people that I love to connect on my blog are people who are experiencing chronic mental or physical illnesses. And so that takes up a good portion of my time. I'm also a first-year graduate student at Rutgers University School of Social Work. I'm interested in working with kids, so yay. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say to get people started, or if the questions will do a good, I think they'll do an excellent job of canvassing my entire life. So,
What's your Tumblr?
my Tumblr, it's illness-2, as in the word, TO-wellness.tumblr.com.
Okay, I'll follow you.
Oh,
Same.
yay.
Same.
Nice.
Well, me and Jaria were kind of wondering, what is mental illness?
So, mental illness is sort of anything that causes people to feel anything less than what we would consider normal. So, you know how everyone has a bad day every once in a while. And so mental illness can mean that someone has a prolonged period of bad days. And so that's called depression, you know, if that lasts for longer than 2 weeks. But there are all sorts of mental illnesses that I think the general definition of them is that they affect someone's interpersonal, intrapersonal, like within themselves and their relationships with the world. And so it's just a way that is changing up their brain's like typical path, I guess, is a good way of saying it. And 1 in 4 people in the United States has a mental illness. And so some of them are super common, like depression or anxiety. I know we throw around those words, you know, a lot, like, oh, I'm so anxious about this test, you know. And some people have, you know, diagnosable anxiety and some people don't, but it's a common feeling we all have. And so those two are really common. And then some other ones you might have heard of are like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or anything like that.
I had depression from age 12 to 14.
Oh, wow.
Wait, no, 12 to 15. It was a really tough period.
I'm really proud of you for getting through that.
Thank you.
You have survived 100% of your worst days and you're still here.
I don't know how I'm gonna say it, but it's depression in general. It's not just depression. Depression is demons talking to you while you trying to think about something positive in life. And when they speak up and they feel that they're powerful, they take over. And there are times where you don't know who you are within. And when you try to speak out, it doesn't come out as you planned. So depression was really, really tough for me, especially when I didn't really know how to explain myself or express myself in that sense.
Absolutely. It can really blunt your ability to express how you're feeling because, I mean, a large part of it is like, I don't even know what I'm feeling right now.
Right.
It's so different from what I had experienced the rest of my life. And so a lot of people with depression don't seek help because they don't know how to ask for it.
Right.
And so a large part of what I talk about on my blog is sort of like how to help a friend who's struggling or like how to ask for help if you're the one struggling. And so, you know, it's played a big role in my life too. And so I, you know, as someone who's experienced it, I figure I have a cool point from which to like talk to others about it. And,
Same.
you know, I'm pretty open about my life, and so I've gotten to talk to a lot of people about what it's like to live with it. And so I think it's really amazing that you're already doing that too.
I was gonna say, depression for me has been a big role, and that's like part of who I am now. What about you, Daria?
Huh?
Sorry.
Wait, what?
What about you? Have you gone through?
Not depression, anxiety, yes. I went to the doctor once, and my heart just couldn't stop beating, and then she just started talking to me. Now I would cry for no reason, so.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people experience at least a short period of depression or anxiety at some point in their lives, but we've set it up as a society that we make it pretty hard to talk about because everyone puts on their like best face at school and is like, oh, I'm doing so well, how are you? And
that's true.
And we, oftentimes when we like are passing someone in the hallway or passing someone like on our way to something, we'll ask them, how are you? But we don't even stop to like hear their answer. And so that's always been to me like a very strange social custom. And so whenever I ask someone how they're doing, I make sure that I have enough time to like actually stop, because otherwise I'll just say, hey, like I'll talk to you later, So we have a funny society in that way.
That is so true.
But the more people who open up about it, the easier it is for the next person.
So what do you think defines you as a person?
Oh gosh, that's a really great question. There are so many different things that I could say for that, because I think I've had many different chapters of my life that have taught me different things. But I think the thing that has gotten me through all the chapters so far is like resilience. And so I feel like I'm a person who's like learned how to face a hardship and then like get back up with the help of family and friends. And sometimes, it gets to the point where I'm able to do it on my own, and I have friends who cheer for me, and it's wonderful. And so resilience is something that defines me a lot. I think another thing that defines me is my passion for social issues. I really like to engage with the news, so I like to know what's going on around the country and around the world, so that I can, participate in educated discussions about how to do things and just how to, make the world a better place. And so I've been passionate about that since a really young age, but that's something that really defines me now as a social work student. But I think those two are probably the biggest: resilience and passion and hope.
They are. They really are. I have a quote from Hunger Games, and it was President Snow. He said, "Hope." I don't remember the quote very, very well, but he was talking about how hope was the only thing that was going to get Katniss through the Hunger Games, because he was planning to kill her because of the stunt that she pulled with Seneca Crane.
Mm-hmm.
Who was your hero as growing up?
Man, I would have to say my mom was definitely my first hero.
Aww.
She is a really powerful and loving woman. So she showed me how to both succeed in the workplace while having kids, because she was one of those super moms who like held a job and took such great care of us. But in addition to like being successful, she also showed me how to like be kind, because in the way that she treated everybody else, she treated everyone with so much respect. And it was hard not to learn that just by her actions and then by her words as well. But another one of my heroes now is the social worker Brene Brown, who's done a lot of research on shame and resilience and how we talk about difficult things. And so that is someone who really inspired me to seek social work. But my lifelong hero, definitely my mom. She's amazing. And Ms. Mann can attest to that.
So what encourages and inspires you as you continue your work as an advocate?
What encourages and inspires me is really just like the daily stories of other people who are doing good. Not necessarily the people who get the most recognition or are well known around the world as a philanthropist or, a leader of sorts, but just people who are doing things in their everyday actions that show love and empathy and hope. So I'm really inspired by my friends who have gotten through a lot, who still have a smile on their face even though they've gone through some hard stuff, and people who are willing to show when they're not doing so great, willing to, not smile if it's not a good day, and so that they can have friends sit with them in that moment. Those are things that really inspire me, but in terms of my advocacy work, what inspires me is when people who didn't know what a big issue it was, like say, for example, discrimination against people with disabilities in the workplace, or discrimination against disabled students asking for accommodations. It really moves and inspires me when people like all of a sudden get it and you can see the light bulb, and it's just, they're like, oh man, this is something that I I'm interested enough to go learn more about or fight about someday when I have the ability to do something like that. And just the people who are out there making changes every day.
I can agree to that.
What would be your biggest piece of advice for young people today?
Wow. There's so much advice that I would give to young people. First of all, I would just say, really appreciate who you are. Like, your unique self. The self that you actually are, not the self that your friends wish you were or that you pretend to be so that you can fit in with a certain crowd, but who you actually are. Because every single one of us is unique, and every single one of us was given different skills, different talents, different gifts, different, just like personality traits. You know, some of us were born more quiet, some of us were born louder, some of us were born like extroverted, so we love being around people a lot, and some of us were born introverted, which means that like at the end of a long day, we love to curl up with a good book. And so like appreciate who you actually are, and just like hone that and own that, because if you like are proud of who you are, then it'll attract other people to be your friend. If we walk around and wonder if we're worthy enough of like someone caring about us, then, you know, we act in ways that show people like, I'm not sure if I deserve your friendship. And that can be really hard, and it can wear on us day by day. So just really own who you are. And I would also say just appreciate the little things in life. So even on a day when you like feel like you failed a test, or like the homework was just so hard, or you know you saw your parents fighting or something like that, like appreciate something little that went right that day. Like I kept a gratitude journal for like a year, which meant that at the end of every day I wrote down 5 things that I was really grateful for each day. And there were some days where I would go to my journal and I'd be like, today was an awful day. I'm not sure if I'm going to find even one thing to be grateful for. But by the end of it, I usually would have 5 or 7 because I couldn't just think of 5. And so just be grateful for the little things and appreciate your friends and show them how much you love them.
What or who did you want to be when you were our age?
When I was your age, I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up. And I started college as a pre-medical student, but sort of quickly was like, I'm not sure if this is what I thought it was when I was, 14 or 15, whenever this like doctor dream showed up. And so I I asked for advice and like asked people like, where do you think I would fit well in this world? And it was fun to hear different answers and to like have a mentor sort of walk me through like what she thought I would be great at. And so like I definitely had my dream of being a doctor at 14, but as with any other dream, it'll probably shift, Mm-hmm. So keep an open mind as you go about, because I was so set when I was like 10 that I was going to be a comic book artist. That was like my big thing. And then by age 14, I was going to be a doctor. And then by age 20, I was like, maybe I'll be a PhD psychologist. And then at 21, I was like, wait, social work is really cool. Maybe I'll do that. Because I met some really inspiring social workers who I volunteered with and just saw the attitude with which they did their work. Just this like endless love and hope. And I was like, I want to do that. So it definitely shifted throughout the years. But that's what happens when you like keep meeting people and have an open mind and keep a constant tally of like, do I really like what I'm doing? Because I would have some friends who were like, well, I'm studying to be a doctor, but I hate science. And it was like,
are you really meant for that?
Yeah. They were thinking like, well, I'll love it someday. And I'm like, but do you love it today?
Right.
So
there has been people.
It's interesting. What were you going to say?
I said there has been people who have come to me and told me, I don't like what I'm doing. They're like, well, you should change it. It's your life. You're going to live it today, tomorrow, forever, till you die. And not necessarily just till you die, but you have to enjoy what you do because life is only one and you get only one chance.
Absolutely. So to people out there who are listening who are in a job that they like are not crazy about, think about what your other options might be. Because I know it's hard to make a change, but the average American changes jobs 14 times in their life.
What?
So And I mean, sometimes that's within the same field. You know, you'll have an emergency room nurse who turns into a cardiology nurse, turns into a nurse who like goes and visits people in their homes. And so that's a job change too. But I mean, I have some people in my social work program who are like in their 30s and had started in a totally different career and found themselves at the end of each day just feeling drained and like what they did didn't matter. And so there they are in grad school in their 30s. And even there was someone in my class who's born in 1954.
Wow.
And so I just really applaud
Shout out
the
to
courage.
her.
I know. I really applaud the courage of people who make those shifts, because sometimes we really find that something that we thought would give us a lot of light and a lot of interest and hope actually doesn't do that. And so.
Okay. Could you describe your journey through the criminal justice system?
Absolutely. So for anyone who's listening in, there's definite, trigger warnings for sexual assault and for, the victim blaming that goes along with that. So for all y'all listening out there, there will be some mentions. I was sexually assaulted in July of 2014 when I went to visit a friend in Washington, D.C. And I had volunteered in the past as someone who would go to the hospital with a person who's there to do a rape kit. And so I knew the different kinds of avenues that were out there because I had done that sort of work, that sort of support work and that compassion work of helping people figure out what might be the right next step. And so as I was sitting there in Washington, D.C., I was like, well, I mean, there are a few options I could have. I could pretend that this didn't happen. I could seek treatment without, going forward and trying to press charges, or, I could try going to the criminal justice system and seeing if they can, hold my rapist accountable to what he did. And so that began a 7-month-long process of me basically fighting for justice, because my detective was not so good, to say the very least. And he, I think there's a lot of problems of trust in the legal system, because, obviously everyone is innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And so that is crucial.
That is.
But
it is very crucial.
It's so crucial. And so obviously we need to protect that integrity. But also I felt like I went in and my detective, who will remain nameless and has been forgiven, he basically told me what happened to you wasn't a crime. And
What you mean it wasn't?
I know, that's what I was like. I was like, are you serious? And so over a series of phone calls, I basically, because I was back at my university in Nashville at this point when he had called me and said like, hey, I don't think your case is going to be prosecuted. And I said,
That is so unfair.
what? And so thus began like another, that was 2 months into the 7-month progress. And the next 5 months were me fighting like crazy to make sure that he was doing the best job he could. Because I felt like he wasn't trying very hard. And so my case, 7 months later, they decided not to prosecute it. And that was one of the most crushing days of my life. Because it was just so strange to think that this man who did something so awful to me was just going to keep walking the streets like everybody else. And so it was just like the weirdest and most heart-wrenching moment. And so in a day, I went from calling, the legal system, the justice system, to calling it the legal system, because I wasn't sure if there was justice anymore. And the saddest part about it is my case is not that unique in that people's detectives don't take them that seriously. So out of all the women and people of any gender who go forward, because not all survivors are women, and I think that's important to talk about too in our society, because sometimes when men get assaulted, people are like, but
You should have liked it.
you should have liked it. And so like, no, survivors are of all genders and everybody should be taken seriously, but my case is far from unique. Only 2% of rapists will ever see 1 day of jail. And so it was pretty heartbreaking. And it really, I have this optimism within me that sort of was ripped out of me for 7 months, because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if there is justice in this world. And I don't know if it's worth fighting for. And so I was very confused and very lost for a few months, and like wasn't really sure what to do about it. And a month after they didn't prosecute my case, I went and talked with a victim specialist in Washington, D.C., and she basically was like, yeah, I have no idea how your case didn't get prosecuted. Like, I have no idea how that happened. Your detective did a terrible job. And so at least there was like that person from the police system who was like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And
So
she
there
was
was
one of the
empathy.
first. There was empathy, and there was like, we did a bad job, you know, because my detective never apologized. And so it was nice to get that like affirmation of like, yes, this is something that mattered. This is something that should have happened, but it didn't. And so what do I do now? And so I decided to go to social work school. I had already been in the process of applying, and I was like, you know what? That means I'll have extra empathy for people who come forward to me and tell me about something like this that's happened to them.
Because you have the connection, you can connect with them.
Mm-hmm. And so something that's actually a recent development is just about a year after, it was like the 1-year anniversary of my case not being prosecuted, and I was having a bad day. My advocate, the one who had walked me through the system from a nonprofit in the area for like survivors of sexual assault, was like, hey, we're having a meeting with the DC Legal Counsel about why they need to prosecute more survivors' cases, and we think you'd be a really good person to come and tell your experience. And I was like, I'm there. What time? What day? Like,
Because you wanted to be heard.
yeah. And so I get to go next Thursday to Washington, D.C. to talk to some legal stakeholders and say, like, hey, you got to hear more of us out. Innocent until proven guilty, yes. Excellent. That's the cornerstone of the legal system. But, like, only 2% of rape accusations are false. And you want to know what percent of auto theft accusations are false?
98.
10%.
What is auto theft?
So like if someone calls the police and say like someone stole my car, apparently 1 out of 10 of those calls is false. And so like if there are more people claiming false auto theft than false sexual assault, then why are there so many more prosecutions for auto theft than there are for sexual assault?
That is so true.
And so I'm basically going to go and say like, hey, like I wasn't just a number. I wasn't just a statistic. I wasn't just a piece of paper that showed up on your desk one day. Like, I'm a person, and you need to hear everybody out.
Yeah.
And so, gonna fight for some more justice in our legal system, and you know, just keep fighting, because I do believe that these systems will get better with time, and the more people who raise their voices are more people who tell them like, hey, we're watching, and you have to be held accountable too.
I got a question.
Absolutely.
It's not on here.
Yeah, go
but
for it.
If you have to take it to Obama, would you?
Oh, of course. I think our president is a really neat man.
I do too.
And my dad is a scientist, and he has a picture with Obama like framed in our front hall, and I'm just like, Dad, you're such a big deal. Like, if I had the opportunity to meet President Obama, I'd be there in a second. And so that would be really fun. President Obama, if you're listening, you know, I already said where my blog is. You can contact me through there. You know, but no, I would do anything to make sure that the next people who go through the system get treated with more respect.
What are some of the concerns you have about the way sexual assault and sexual assault victims are treated?
Absolutely. So the biggest concern that I have about it is that for some reason we don't give people our empathy. We immediately look to like, well, how did you cause it? Like, was your skirt too short? Were you drinking?
Oh my God, I'm tired
Were
of those
you?
excuses.
I hate that.
Were you? Was he your boyfriend? You know, like that makes it any better.
Yeah,
like
that's even worse. That's
You know?
domestic
They're
abuse.
trying to call you something that you're not. And I
Exactly.
honestly, I have a family member. I'm not gonna mention his or her name. They were in a victim exactly, but they were about to be. So they were on the roll, but this person was quick-witted and ran out.
That's wonderful.
She still suffers. This person
Yeah.
still suffers. And I was wondering, what can you say to this person when they are in the bad times thinking about the same thing over and over and over again?
That's a great question, and I think that's one of the most important questions that there are, because truth be told, like when I had first become a survivor, you know, I had a lot of friends sort of say like, how can I treat a survivor? Like, how do I help them out? And it's like, well, truth be told, you know, you probably won't be able to go to Washington, D.C. and fight my case for me. And I don't want you to go get vigilante justice. You know, I had one person be like, oh, I'll go to Washington, D.C. and beat him up. And I was like, no, that's not how it works. Like, that's so silly. So since you can't help me...
My family would do that. They would.
And so, you know, since you can't help my case along, you can sit with me. You can, you know, grieve with me that this happened. You can believe me. You know, you, like, don't ask me questions about what happened. I'll volunteer the information that I want to tell you. You know, because some people all of a sudden are like, oh, tell me everything. And it's like, maybe I don't want to, okay? You know,
some people, they just act concerned to be nosy.
Exactly.
No.
And so being a concerned friend here is just like sitting down and showing up with us and saying like, hey, like, do you want me to make you some tea? Or like, do you want me to turn on the television and I'll like still sit here? We don't even have to talk to each other. I know like it's really hard right now, but I'm here for you and I believe you and I hear you.
Yeah, okay, so just okay. Describe your blog. What's it about and where did it come from?
Absolutely. So my blog is a fun mix of lots of different parts of my life. You know, lots of different areas of social justice. Like, you know, I post a lot about politics. I post a lot about living with chronic mental and physical illnesses, or like loving someone well who has those. I talk a lot. When I was going through the legal system, I talked a lot about what I was going through with that, and so I still post a lot of stuff about like how to help sexual assault survivors and like how to be there for them.
I read a lot of that on Tumblr, like through my news feed. All of that is there.
Good, that's so awesome. Like, I love that we have people who are talking about this now, because in the past, I think, you know,
They had a blind eye to it.
yeah, there's a blind eye, and like what we were talking about with like how did you cause it to happen, like that rape culture and that victim blaming. It can really cause people to not want to come forward and not speak up and say like, this is how someone helped me, this is how you could help a friend, because, you know, it's hard. And so I post a lot about, you know, being a woman in the world. I post a little bit about
Feminism?
Yes, indeed, I'm a feminist, very proudly so. And I post a lot about my relationship with God. I'm like a very active Christian, and so I talk about how my relationship with God has evolved through suffering and through all of the different things I've gone through, and just like the joy that I've found in it. Because I was an atheist until age 20, and so it's a big shift in my life.
I was an atheist since the age 10, and I stopped being an atheist at the age 13.
Awesome. Like,
I didn't even know that God existed, to be honest.
Sometimes it's really hard to know, and like, it's really hard to connect with your spirituality, especially if you've had like weird experiences, you know, because some people don't feel accepted by the church, or some people don't feel welcome in the church, or like they feel like people at church will judge them or something or other.
That's the problem today. Like a lot of Christians, like if you're lesbian, gay, or like if you did a crime or whatever, they'll hate you. And they'll just not talk to you at all and send you hate, and that's not what it's about. So they send you hate because you're gay, and I don't like that.
And it's so hard, you know, because we have people who have very like not nuanced or like deeper understandings of Christianity, and so we have people who will go out and do bad things in the name of our God, and it's so sad, you know, because if anything, like God's name should be known for love and justice.
That's true.
And so I post a lot about my relationship with God and like how it's evolved over time. But I also post stuff about other religions too, because I know my followers are of all different types, which is really fun.
Yeah. I think the way that us people that have depression is very, very unique, because depression is not just like, oh, I'm suffering for a long time, so now I'm just be sad for a long time. Depression is a type where it's like, hey, today's a new day, here's some rain. That's how it is. And and that's how my relationship with God, it evolved, because there was a day where I wanted to commit suicide. I hated my life. And in that day, it was just, just didn't want my life, and all of a sudden there was just this one powerful light shone in my eyes, and then there was this weird voice talking. It was just so weird.
That's fantastic. I love hearing people's experiences of spirituality, regardless of their religion, or even if they're atheists, just like their understanding of like why things happen or anything. There are few things that I love more than spiritual conversations with people of all types.
Well, thank you for your time and involvement. We really appreciate hearing your story, Emily, and enjoyed having you on the show. Listeners, stay tuned for our second half, where we will hear from Miss Arnold more about her story and some of her opinions on key issues.
Listen to the internet radio and drift away. Give me the beat, boy, to free my soul. Gonna listen to PNJ radio and drift away. www.com, that is.
Hi, I'm Deirdre Anderson.
And I'm Laura Mangone.
And we are here to introduce the new show on PANJRadio.com. It's called
Food for Thought.
We'll be talking about restaurant reviews, restaurant pet peeves, catering nightmare stories, and a whole lot more.
Starting on January 15th at 1 p.m.
on PANJRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Vinny Veterosa, and I approve this message.
Vinny is such a pussycat, and incidentally, if you've never had a massage by Vinny Veterosa, you must do it. You will be grateful to me for having suggested it, for him for having done it, and for yourself for having the wisdom to accept the advice.
Have Table Will Travel with Vinny Verderosa.
He's got magic thumbs. The man has magic thumbs. He really does.
He really does.
Right now, 3 one-hour sessions for the price of 2, which include general massage, reflexology, and acupressure. Check me out. See for yourself why people feel so good when their session is done. On Facebook, Acupressure Have Table Will Travel. On the web, relaxintoreiki.com/partners. My telephone number is 732-259-3129. And you can get me here anytime on PANJRadio.com.
Welcome back to the STEMCivics show. I'm Jaria, and I'm here with Angela. Today we are going to talk with Miss Emily Arnold and just ask random questions.
Indeed.
Okay, so if you were a mosquito, who would you bite?
I think everybody can answer these two.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone.
Why doesn't someone else go first while I think about that one?
Like I said, I would bite Donald Trump on the nose. Why? Because I don't like him. That's it. Okay, go.
Okay, I don't know who I would bite. Honestly, I wouldn't inflict pain on nobody because I hate pain on myself.
Aw.
I think my
That was
answer would
cute.
probably have to be pretty similar. Like, I definitely in the past would be one to hold grudges and like
Same.
would have loved to answer this question about 5 years ago. But now I try to keep an open mind about everyone and give people the benefit of the doubt. Even people like Donald Trump, even when that's really hard.
Yeah, true. What about you, Ms. Man?
I have no idea who I would bite as a mosquito. First of all, I think life as a mosquito would be terrible.
Because you get slapped.
Everybody hates you. Everybody's out to get you.
Right. I saw
Donald Trump.
I saw the Bee movie where this one mosquito, he was like,
He was a lawyer.
That was the B. Wait. Oh.
He became
it's
a
called
lawyer.
the Bee movie. And is this mosquito who he met, and he was like even the mosquito ladies don't want us. And I'm
Oh.
So yeah, I feel pretty
What a
bad
lonely life.
to be a mosquito. I honestly don't know who I would bite. I don't know if I'm as open-hearted as Emmy or NG here, and say I wouldn't bite anybody. But maybe, I love you, my brother. But but I'd probably bite my brother at some point, at a very specific point of time. He recently was in a car accident where he fell asleep, so I'd probably bite him like 5 minutes before that happened. That'd probably be a good idea.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. If you were a shirt, who would you want to be worn by?
Ooh, Justin Bieber all day.
Harry Styles
Oh, yes.
or Zac
definitely.
Efron?
No.
Anyone hot?
Oh, Jake.
Because I get to hug them all day.
Oh, for real.
Maybe someone high profile, like Obama, someone who people respect and, is a very visible figure. Just so maybe I could put a cool message about love and hope on it,
Just sneakily like right across.
Like, prosecute more sexual assault cases.
Really big in the middle of like a UN speech or something.
She reminds me of Jennifer Lawrence. Oh my god.
Well, I'm honored. I think she's pretty neat.
She is. I love Katniss. If you're hearing this, Jennifer.
Oh, you want me? Oh, goodness. These questions are very difficult to answer. If I were a shirt, who would I want to be worn by? Obama would be a really awesome one. He would be very cool. Michelle Obama would also be really awesome.
Michelle, my fave.
Or Stephen Colbert, because he gets to meet awesome people all day. So I could just hang out there and just listen.
Wait, who?
Stephen Colbert.
I don't know.
He's a talk show host. He's makes a lot of. He's like a comedic talk show host. I forget. He's on what? The
Ellen
Late Show now?
DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres would also
my
be
God.
cool. Oprah.
I love her.
People who get to meet cool people all day long.
Just like
Any
Justin
one of them.
Bieber.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Bieber
Cool
fanatic,
fan.
so yeah.
Okay, if you were in any movie, which would you be in and why?
Twilight.
Why?
Because I'd play Bella and I would be in love with Jacob instead of Edward. That's why.
Okay.
Poor Edward.
I don't like Edward.
I don't
Well,
like any of them.
I meant if you were in any movie and you were your own character.
Okay.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't know. Like honestly, the movie that I would be in was Hunger Games because she has such a cool life, and I'd probably be her sister Prim. I wouldn't want to create that own character. I'd be her sister Prim.
Okay.
I, instead of a movie, I would want to give a TED Talk because that is one of my life goals.
Oh, what?
A
You might
TED
have to
Talk?
explain it.
A TED Talk is sort of like, it's usually like anywhere between a 5 to 20 minute talk about like cutting edge research, by people like, Neil deGrasse Tyson has probably done a TED Talk. People who are like high profile in whatever field they are. And they share about the cool stuff they've been learning. And so you can watch anything, about like how if as a woman you take what's called a power stance, which means that you like put your arms up and sort of like flex for a few minutes and like stand big for 2 minutes. After that, you're gonna feel more powerful and more confident. And so just like interesting little life hacks is what they're called.
Ooh, I like life hacks.
And so I would really love to give a TED Talk on how to better treat people with disabilities in society.
I'm using a life hack right now with my phone. I put my phone in airplane mode.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very good, very good.
That's Tumblr.
Yes. So good.
That's Tumblr.
Me, I don't know. It's either Finding Nemo or it's like some musical, like High School Musical. But
Sorry.
I don't know why Finding Nemo. I would be like a.
Dory. Just say it.
I would not want to be Dory. I don't know what fish I would want to be. Maybe a clownfish too. Like
The little
maybe he
egg.
would have a sister, and I would just go with him.
So would it,
and be like, you should have went back there. I don't know.
So what would
Tell
be
him
your
what to do.
name? What would have been your name if you were in that movie?
Actually, never mind. I would be Dory's big sister. I mean, not Dory. Oh my God. Darla, the girl that shakes the bag.
Oh,
So so she wouldn't,
Kill the fish.
Even though I wouldn't know.
She's against animal cruelty.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I am too.
What
I am
about you,
against
Miss-
any other cruelty.
It's a very good thing to be against.
What about you, Miss Man?
Me? Probably Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oh.
See, it's weird because, and Emily would know this, we grew up with it. Like when he was 11, we were around the same age, and literally when he graduated, we graduated. And so it'd be so cool to be on that journey with him, and just like magic just sounds so awesome.
Yes. It was
Not
quite
having-
the time to be alive. I'm not gonna lie. Being a 90s kid was pretty excellent.
I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 1999.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, what about TV show?
TV show. I really like The Office. I would want to be someone like Pam, who's just consistently funny.
No.
I don't watch. I used to,
PPL.
but
Pretty Little Liars.
I would be.
And Aria. Spencer or Aria.
Yes.
Spencer because she's quirky in her own way and because she's smart, and Aria because she's a detective. Well, I am almost like Aria, and she places puzzles where they're at. Allie somewhat because Allie disappears like in the beginning of the show, and it's just so cool to play that dead person and then come back, and it's oh my god, yeah.
It's a pretty good series too. Have you read the actual books?
I want to read them.
They're very well written. I liked them more than the television show, which is unfortunately how it often
Usually
happens.
is.
Oh wait, and
Right.
Spencer because she has the cutest boyfriend, Toby.
I would want to be in The Walking Dead.
Oh,
As what? Hopefully not a zombie.
No, what? no. I wouldn't want to be a zombie. I would want to be a person that like just shows up in one of the seasons and just goes with Rick Grimes and on a journey, because I'm not scared of zombies. I watched it enough that I'm not scared of zombies, and even in my dreams, like I had a dream about zombies last night, and I was not scared. Like I would be happy to cut their throats. I'm sorry.
Wow, this went to a very interesting turn.
what about you, Vivian?
Oh, this is an older, well, not older, but it's not on air anymore. Covert Affairs? They probably don't know it. It's like a spy TV show.
I probably do.
I think it'd be really fun to be a spy. Probably extremely, I'm not much for adrenaline,
I can
honestly.
see her one as one.
I'm very unassuming, I guess. But being a spy would be very interesting, and I think that would be very cool. Travel a lot. I love travel. So.
Yes.
Okay. If you could be any object, what would it be?
EOS.
Sorry?
EOS.
You,
Why?
oh,
Because
Chapstick?
yes. Why? Listen why. Because Justin Bieber uses EOS, and so I'd kiss his lips every day.
Okay.
that would be,
You
that's
get it?
very creative. Yeah, I think that'd be
So
very-
EOS.
I guess. Okay, how about you?
I would want to be a camera because people tend to take cameras on really cool adventures.
Ow.
I've taken my camera with me like all across the United States, a lot of places in Europe, and
You went to Europe?
I've gone to Europe a few times.
Wow.
My family loves traveling.
I'd be a passport.
very
That's
nice.
another good one to walk
And you know
with.
you'd go everywhere because when you're traveling, you should always keep your passport with you.
Absolutely. And so I would be a camera simply because I've been in so many beautiful places that I've carried a camera.
How about you, Miss Ma'am?
An umbrella. I like
I
umbrellas.
kind of envision you reading that because she likes umbrellas.
I do like umbrellas, and I think I love looking at the sky, and I wish I had more time to do it. So being an umbrella would be a good place to do that. Though the sky, if you're out, is probably not the best sky to be looking at, to be honest.
Maybe a
How about
parasol?
you? Maybe. Jaria? How about you?
What? I already said me.
Oh, you said yours.
Yeah. Okay,
said
which
EOS.
animal, like, if you can only communicate with one animal, which animal would it be?
Dog. Husky.
Why?
Siberian Husky. Blue eyes.
Well,
Why would you want to communicate with him?
I didn't say the breed, I just said the animal.
See, I had to because I'm extra. Why? Because they're so cool. They're so aggressive, and some are just so like
Cute.
And
cuddly.
They're cuddly.
And just like to be able to communicate. That'll be my best friend right there. Bump Kenny. That'll be my best friend right
Who's
there.
Kenny?
That was my best friend.
Oh.
Kenny, if you're listening, she's still your best friend.
Okay. Continue.
I would want to communicate with a dog as well. I'm planning on getting a dog soon that I'll be registering as either a service dog or as an emotional support dog.
Oh, that'll be cool.
If it were a service dog, I could take it everywhere, which would be pretty neat. Because I have a physical disability that can make it hard for me to do certain tasks, and so it would be cool to have a dog be able to do some of those. And if I register it as an emotional support animal, it won't be able to like go everywhere in public with me, but like it gets a special status when you like move to a new apartment building, because everywhere has to accept an emotional support animal, even if it's like a not pet friendly apartment. And so we'll sort of see. I can't wait to get my little Bichon puppy, whenever that is.
How about you?
How about probably birds, because they fly around. They get to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I would want to fly, and so if I can't do it myself, I can live
But you would've been a
vicariously
panda.
through
I would want
the bird.
I would want a bird too, because like if I want to spy on someone, then I'll like tell them.
Mysterious.
If I would like tell them like to go like spy on them and listen to them, and then they would come back and tell me. Or if I left something on the floor, they'd fly to it and put it in their mouth. It's like a dog, but they could fly and go everywhere faster. Or if I tell them to go across the sea.
Yeah. Then you'd be living out that phrase, a little birdie told me.
Okay. If you can witness any event, future, past, or present, what would it be?
Wow.
That's a heavy one.
That's a really good one.
Okay.
I don't want to think too quickly on that one.
I said Dr. Martin Luther King getting killed. Why? Because at the time that he not be dead, but still has 7 minutes of remembering, I'd ask him some questions. I'd be like, Dr. King, why did you do it?
I like that.
Okay. Me, I don't know. Never mind. Wait. I would. Oh, when Christopher Columbus came to America, but like, yeah, I would want to see that, but I wouldn't want to be there because he probably enslaved me or whatever. Or is that the right word?
Yes.
Yes. That is probably a very accurate assessment because he was not
Unfortunately.
the best man that the earth has known so far.
Sadly, no.
You know, we can call it Indigenous Peoples Day though, which I appreciate.
That would work very lovely, I'm sure.
I can think of two offhand. One is my like simpler answer, which would be I would want to go see all the artists at Woodstock, simply because I'm a huge classic rock fan, and so I'd want to go see a lot of them
David
live.
Bowie, all of them.
I'm not sure. Was he at Woodstock?
No idea. Not the person
I'm not
to
sure.
ask.
What is Woodstock?
It's a giant music concert, and I think Emily probably knows
Oh,
better.
I would want to be on Warped Tour.
Ooh, that's a good one. So Woodstock was sort of like one of the first like huge concerts where they had so many different bands playing, and it was during the late 1960s, and so you had a lot of like free thinkers, and you had a lot of people coming together who were interested in seeing the world change, and so you had musicians singing about really real stuff rather than just like, there's this girl, I would like to dance with her in the club. Like they were singing about some pretty big stuff, and so I love that era of music. So that's one. And then I would probably also want to see the I Have a Dream speech. Because
We'd connect.
Yeah, we'd connect there.
We'd connect.
Because I think, you know, it's easy for me to say that like, oh, if I had been around back then, I definitely would have been part of the civil rights movement. But we never know, you know, the parents that we would have had if we had lived in a different time. So whenever I think about like the different things and like how it took us so long to make some progress and how the civil rights movement is still very much going on.
It is.
Very, very much so.
We just did a letter to Mr. President.
Good.
And mine's included gory details. I just can't wait till I email it to him because that'll be honored.
Wow. That's so great. Like, so I would want to go back then and make sure that I was like on the right side of history if I were to live in a different time. Because now as a social worker, the side of civil rights and equality. And so I would want to make sure that I would go see one of the most inspiring speakers and activists of all time.
So, which year would you guys want to, like the the 1970s, 1960s, like that? I don't know.
The era?
Era, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, goodness. In the past? Does it have to be in the past?
No.
I'd like to be in the future, before everything explodes or something.
Miss Man.
Well, I mean,
care about the environment, folks.
Eventually in 5 billion years, the sun's gonna die and it is all gonna explode for better or for worse. I'd like to go in the future, some era where we've somehow achieved world peace. And that would be great, because right now it's not even close. So it'd be great to live in that era, to be just like not fear for
I think 2030. Why? Because I'd be like 31. And I just wanted to see. I would want to see what I am at that age.
I love Miss Mann's answer, because mine is very similar in that I would love to be part of a generation that experiences world peace. But I heard Cory Booker, the senator, talk on Tuesday, and he said something that really struck me. Someone was joking about like, oh, if Donald Trump wins, I'm going to move to Canada. And he was like, well, I understand that, but also we need some people here who would act against that and make sure that we get another president in the future. And we need people who care to stay here.
Right.
We need people where there's hardship and where there's trouble, so that we can make sure that we have people there on the front lines of change. And so my final answer for where I want to be is this decade, this present moment, because I love being part of the generations that will get us to future world peace.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. I don't know where I would want to be, but where there's more rock, because I love rock. So I don't know,
who's a favorite band
thing.
of yours?
Paris, PVRIS. I don't know if you know them.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of them.
So I think we have to wrap up, actually.
Yeah. We have officially run out of time, man. That was so fun. Thank you, Ms. Arnold, for coming in, and to all our listeners for listening. Have a wonderful week. This was STEMCivics.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
STEM out.
Wow, I can hear.